Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abby and thanks for joining. Today's video, I am going to be rereading 4 books that I grew up on that I think altered my brain in the best way possible. You'll see in my video before here, we did some shopping, you got some sneak peeks. However, one book series I wanted to read I could not find. So prayers up for House of Night, because I vividly remember reading that, but I could not remember anything about it, so I wanted to re-diverse myself back into that world. 4 amazing books to read for this video, so let's get to learning. Book I read when I was in 6th grade. Had no business reading this in 6th grade, but I was on Tumblr. I went down like the anonymous book kick. Like I have an Oxygen Thief and Chameleon in a Candy Store, and so I just went down a whole anonymous kick, and that brought me to Go Ask Alice. Now this is a actual diary. I think they might have changed some things about a girl who struggles with drug addiction. It's very short. This is the 50th anniversary special. But yeah, it's just a book about addiction, and I guess this shaped me so hard because a homegirl has never done a hard drug before. Thank you. So yes, I was in 6th grade when I read this book. It's a pretty short book, so we'll fly by with it, but I'm so excited to see how it resonates with me, almost 27 years old. Next book we have is Looking for Alaska. I read this probably when I was going into high school. I stopped reading a lot after middle school and kind of just fell off the wagon until 3 years ago when I started my book talk and posting more and being more active in the book community. This was probably one of the last 2 books I read. I've not watched the movie adaptation because I'm simply not ready to reopen that wound. I couldn't even tell you the premise of this book. Let's see. Miles Halter is fascinated by famous last words. I do recall that. He could quote anyone's last words. Perfect. He meets Alaska, and then she does some fuck shit, I guess. I don't know. Another short book. So excited to rehash this and annotate it. I will be annotating all the books that I read. Okay, I am on page 47. We have a lot of annotations so far. I forgot how like information packed this book was. Our female main character just went back to the same school where the incident happened, and she met up with a group of her old friends. Only one ever went to visit her, and this one boy is eating her up. He's like, did you go to his grave? Did you go to anyone's grave? I'm like, oh my god. And they're like, leave her alone, it's her birthday bag. He's like, what? She can walk. She, one of those people's dead. Why couldn't she go visit their graves? 8. But like, this book is so information packed. I fear this book is just gonna be full of tabs. Good morning, guys. I made a dent in this book. I know I said last night I was only going to read to 100 pages. I read to part 3, which is on page 211. I forgot how quickly this book flies by. So far, it's like I read it for the first time. I'm like, oh my god. Granted, it's been over 10 years since I've read the book. But, like, it's insane. Like, the grief everyone's going through, like, the confusion. I don't know if she's an unreliable narrator, because there's a lot of little flashback moments, like, people close are like, you caused it, you're guilty. And then there's people that hated her, that are like, she didn't do it. So, and there's a lot of instances where I was like, who is she trying to convince? Like, anytime a victim is mentioned, just because I want to keep track of who's on the list. We're talking about Nick, the shooter, his friend Jeremy, and it was basically Val, our female main character, explaining to the detective, like, you should talk to Jeremy. Jeremy's the bad person. Jeremy made him do this, not me. Jeremy's a bad guy. And I was like, who are you trying to convince? Odd. And the one thing I really liked is the last page. It's probably not the last page. It was the last thing. The detective told her that they're dropping charges against her. This is early on before she goes back to school. That they're dropping charges against her, and they had an eyewitness that stated they knew she didn't have the gun, and the detective said, blonde, tall, a junior. Valerie, and she kept repeating, Valerie didn't shoot anybody. And Valerie realized that didn't describe any of her friends at all. So we have this stranger, I know who the stranger is, preaching and being an advocate that Valerie was innocent, but her own friends came and visited in her hospital and was like, yeah, but you told Nick to do it. You told him, like, so it's very sad to see your friends kind of take a backtrack on you. But I love it so far. We're going to continue reading after I get some work done. Okay, I got the back end stuff for my job done that has my attention right now done. So now we're going to hop back in to reading Hate List. I'm so excited. I think I will finish this book today. I hope I finish this book today, just because we have a lot of other things to get done. But fingers crossed. I'm going, and I lost, oh no I didn't. My pencil's right here, but I'm going to jump back in to part 3 of the Hate List. I have a little less than 200 pages to go, because this is 406 pages, and then it goes into like questions and answers, and then I think it goes into the novella, which I am going to read as well. Oh my god, are they gonna become friends? How does she know where she lives? Oh, I bet that's the first time she's been told that somebody wants her somewhere. since this whole shindig started. That's so sweet. I don't even know what color to do for that. I don't even know. Okay, so things have progressed. I am definitely more than 50% through the book now. I am on page 251, chapter 21. I started marking tender moments, like when people are actually like not blaming her, not being rude to her, and just kind of being like she goes to a student council meeting and they're like, oh, like the memorial, it could be for these people or for these people or for these people, and no one's ever like, you shouldn't be involved in this conversation. Like, she's giving ideas and people are liking said ideas. And then it comes to the mention of her ex-boyfriend, if he should be listed, and they're like, no, he doesn't deserve it. And the teacher's like, well, if you think about it, he's also a victim of just something different. And then Valerie stood up and she's like, no, that's not fair to everyone else, he's not a victim. Applause to her. And we keep getting mentions about Jessica. Like, Jessica's putting her neck out there trying to be Valerie's friend, and Valerie's not reciprocating it yet. Something I thought was really weird is, so she gets done with therapy and then her mom's not there, so she wanders and she comes across an art studio and she meets an artist named B, and she's leaving because her mom finally came, and B says, I do hope I'll find you back next weekend, Valerie. She gets in the car and she goes, I remembered, I never told B my name at all. Who's B? How does B know her? The annotations are good. Like, this book is so good. I fear we're nothing less than a 4. Unless something bad happens and I just absolutely hate this book at the end of it. I don't know. But I'm gonna do something for my job real fast. Read for another about 30 minutes until my 3 o'clock meeting. And then hopefully punch this book out today. Okay, it is a brand new day. I am just returning home. I had to go work at a coffee shop for a little bit just because my Wi-Fi was being weird. But we have started our next book, which is the engravement that Gus has in my brain is astounding. I didn't get far. I think I'm on chapter 4, and I started annotating a little bit. You can't see them. But we have neon yellow for Gus, and then blue for Hazel. I, like I said, haven't gotten far in this book, but it makes me so giddy, like how insta love Hazel is with this man. His voice. I like that he took extensively fraught free throws. I like that he was so tenured professor in the Department of Slightly Crooked Smiles with the dual appointment in the Department of having a voice that made my skin feel more like skin. And I like that he had 2 names. I've always liked people with 2 names because you get to make your mind up of what you want to be called. Gus or Augustus. Me, I was always just Hazel. Unavailable Hazel. But we know he calls her Hazel Grace. I'm not ready for the emotional turmoil that this is going to take on me, but I'm going to go eat lunch. It is 1:30 and we are going to continue on reading. Shopping, you will notice a new little addition on my bookcase. Let me get her for you. It is this beautiful hand-painted vase. It says romance on the side. I'm not sure what I'm gonna put in here yet. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I have some like old PR packages. I might put some contents of them in here, or maybe some, I don't know, it might just be empty for now, but it's going on my special hardbacks. It's so gorgeous. Also got this in today. Yeah. The omnibus, so it is Get in My Swamp and Stay in My Swamp. Thank you, GM Fairy. I'm gonna pick back up reading. I was listening to the audiobook while I was tidying up my kitchen just a little bit, but we're gonna continue on reading. I am on chapter 5, page 64. So we have some work to do today, but we're gonna get it done. I believe we can have this done by tomorrow if I put my mind to it. However, I do have School Spirits and Love is Blind to watch. So I'm gonna try to get as much of this done today. If not, we will have it done by tomorrow. Putting my foot down, I'm going to lock in, put in the audiobook, and get lost in it. Okay, short update. I'm finally on chapter 6. I have introduced a new tab color, pink, and pink is any signs of them audibly saying or doing things where you're like, yeah, they're starting to fall in love. First one is when Augustus found Hazel Grace's favorite author and emailed him, and then gave her the email. So precious. The second one is when Augustus admitted he had a crush on her when Hazel told him what she used her wish for. And then obviously the third one we found so far is when Gus told Hazel he saved his wish, and he talked to the genies and they agreed that him and Hazel could go to Amsterdam together. Not physically freaking ready, but I'm also so ready. I'm so excited. I love that. I can't remember if in Amsterdam, I think it's when I get back from Amsterdam, that we find out Gus is sick again. And I'm going to vomit when that happens. 5:38. So I think I'm going to give myself another hour to see how far I can get into this book, and then take a break, watch my 2 shows, cook some dinner, and then we'll get back to reading later. Side note, I forgot, when Augustus told her that he was going to take her to Amsterdam, he got her orange tulips, and we have this neon orange here, so I think when they get to Amsterdam, like any like the sightseeing they do or anything like that, I'm going to make orange, because it is also one of my dreams to go to Amsterdam, just for the history aspect of it. So I think it'll be fun to use orange, since he gave her orange tulips, and tulips are the flower of the Netherlands. So it's gonna be really fun. But we just got to a part where she's having some conflicting feelings about Augustus touching her, and so she's asking her friend, like, hey, I have boy problems, and she's like, who is it? And she's like, oh, it's this guy, he used to play basketball from North Central. And she's like, how'd you meet him? Showed the sport group. She goes, okay, out of curiosity, how many legs does this guy have? And Hazel answered, like 1.4. And she immediately knew who it was. That's hysterical. I think for funny purposes, we're gonna do this neon green, because I'm not gonna use it for anything else. I fear I am nauseous. We are officially 48% through The Fault in Our Stars. They're on their way to Amsterdam, and Augustus asked Hazel to recite a poem, and she's like, I don't know any. He goes, you haven't memorized any? He's like, and so she said one, and he's like, can you go slower? And she said the poem, love with you, and not in the business of denying myself the simple pleasure of saying true things. I'm in love with you, and I know that love is a shout into the void, and that oblivion is inevitable, and that we're all doomed, and that there will come a day when all of our labor has been returned to dust, and I know the sun will swallow the only earth will ever see, and I am in love with you. Oh, I want to throw up. And then she says, Augustus, I haven't read past this, because I want to give you guys a little backstory. When this movie was about to release to this world, I made friends with a group of people from New Zealand, and there was this guy named Sam who, when we first like met through Skype, he wouldn't speak to me, and I was like, I don't like that. I'm just determined to make this man speak to me. Flash forward a couple years, Sam was diagnosed with cancer, and then this movie released. And this movie ripped me apart, shredded me down to tears. The soundtrack really just took a knife into. I remember watching with my sister, and we were standing up, and then the last song came on, and I fell to my knees and started sobbing. All of the Stars by Ed Sheeran started playing, and as I said, he lived in New Zealand, I was in America. The only plus side of this is that Sam's cancer was treatable, not curable. It will continuously come back. I no longer talk to Sam, but some days I'll just think of him and hope that, you know, everything's working out for him. He has a beautiful wife, a child now, and just reading this book brings me back to the moment I found out he had cancer, and just never wanting to experience your friends going through something that terrible before was anguish. So rereading this book is bringing up all those feelings. Nauseating. I am now on chapter 11. I'm gonna vomit. I'm gonna vomit. I'm gonna vomit. Is talking to Hazel about Caroline, who is his ex-girlfriend, and she just wanted to know what she was like and what happened, and he's explaining that she had a really bad brain tumor that they called the asshole tumor, and you know, she would be mean to him because she couldn't not be. There was inseparable between her brain and her tumor. It just was what it was. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't ever want to do that to you. And he said, oh, I wouldn't mind, Hazel Grace. It would be a privilege to have my heart broken by you. John Green, what are you doing? I forgot how much I loved his writing. I'm speechless. I don't think this book is going to not be a 5-star read, even though I'm well aware of the emotional turmoil that is about to happen because, well, we're past 50% and things have to go south. This is not a happily ever after, obviously. I don't even know what color to highlight that. Is it yellow for Gus? Is it pink for like them liking each other and loving each other? Or is it blue for quotes I want engraved on my body? I think we're gonna put blue and pink down. Gus came over when she was crying at her swing set and said, I fell in love the way you fall asleep, slowly and then all at once. Maybe take a break, go do something around my house to just sit and ponder because I can't move on. I wish that's where the book ended. They love each other. That's it. John. Okay, brand new update, everybody. It is now officially Friday, or it's officially Saturday. It's almost 1 a.m. Hello? It's almost 1 a.m. I was watching TV since the last time we talked. I got to chapter 12. I gardened a little bit, I had a little gardening beverage. So I think, and then my husband, we got new sheets today. So my husband's gonna make our bed once our sheets are done. So I think I'm just gonna sit in here, eat some Christmas Sour Patch Kids, and read. I don't want him to have cancer again.
You know the ending of this fucking story. You read the book of heart.
I know.
Fucking psycho. Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm depressed. I'm so sad. I don't want to read it.
I don't want him to die again. What, do you see the movie, the book, and probably the fucking fan fiction? Jesus.
She died. Disheveled, distraught. I just cried for about 5 minutes. We're at his funeral. I can't wait for this book to be over so I can just sit with my thoughts. Bro. So, it's the day after the funeral, I'm assuming, and she goes to the bathroom, and her dad walks in. Said, I'm sorry, Gus died. It's total bullshit. The whole thing, 80% survival rate, and he's in the 20%. Bullshit. He was such a bright kid. It's bullshit. I hate it, but it was a privilege to love him, huh? Somebody take John Green's pen away. I don't think he's written a book in a very long time, but take any writing utensil away from him. He can't keep doing this. Okay, team. It's done. We're done. Fuck. I'm going to need to collect my thoughts for a couple minutes, but definitely a 5-star book. I'm going to collect my thoughts. I'm going to write my review on Fable, and then I'll come back. We can chat about it. I think the next book we are going to read, however, is going to be read Go Ask Alice next, so I can have a break from this man's writing, because I know this one is also probably going to really hurt. So I'm going to get that situated, get ready for the day, and mourn these damn characters, I guess, because my heart hurts still. Okay, update. We have gotten somewhat put together. I did my skincare and my eyebrows. I was watching Bestie Brittany's video, but I think it's time for you and I to talk about which was The Fault in Our Stars. I did leave my review, so I think I'm just going to read you my review because I think it's one of the best well thought out book reviews I've ever made. I was a mess of glorious sobbing stardust emotions. This wasn't just a reread, it was a full-blown emotional evacuation. 5 stars, more like a constellation. She ate. Here's the thing, you think you remember the gut punches, then you think you're prepared, you're wrong. Returning to Hazel and Gus is like revisiting a place you loved and forgot how profoundly it shaped you. It is not just heartbreaking beauty of their love story, though that's a massive supernova-sized part of it, but it's the why. Why is this still a masterpiece? The writing. John Green's prose is a masterclass, balancing wit, vulnerability, and raw honesty. He doesn't sugarcoat the pain of illness, but he also doesn't wallow in it. He finds the humor, the absurdity, the sheer humanity in the face of impossible odds. The dialogue crackles with intelligence and kind of fierce tenderness. The characters were great. The characters were great. The themes. It's not just a cancer book. It's a book about love, loss, meaning, and desperate, beautiful struggle to find your place in the universe that often feels indifferent. The emotional impact, obviously, you guys saw. Horrible. Just to summarize it, this review reminded me of The Fault in Our Stars is a modern classic. It's not just a story, it's an experience. It's a reminder to cherish every moment, to find the humor in the absurd, and to love with all your heart, even when you know it might break. If you haven't read it or it's been a while, do yourself and dive back in. You won't regret it. Okay? Okay. Obviously, after that, I need a little break, so I think I'm going to get dressed and go shopping for a little bit. A little bit of retail therapy, you might say. My hair is an absolute disaster. For one reason, one side curled more than the other, which is fine. It's fine. It's okay. We don't have to look good for anybody. It's a lot later in the day. It is almost 9 p.m. I've had a fun-filled day of shopping and just relaxing. I'm sorry, but we are going to go ahead and get started on Go Ask Alice. I don't think I'm going to annotate this just because it's basically a diary, so there's not much to annotate because narrator knows. I don't know, but we're going to go ahead and get her started. I'm going to get on my Fable really fast, and I think I already have this queued up in my yes, it's already queued up in my currently reading. I just have to press that I read it today. Woo! I'm so excited. Is there an audiobook of this? Gives me something to like, I don't know. Because I remember this book was harder to read growing up just because it was good. but I just don't recall me like really loving it. Relax for a little bit in here, start reading. My goal is to get, let's see, 100 pages in is pretty much the end of the book. We're gonna try to get at least 50 pages in before I get ready for nighttime, do some skincare, all that good stuff. Yeah, 50 is a good little chunk. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to put my tabs away and pick out a new bookmark for this book. For an update, 34 pages in, she went back to her town because she moved to spend the summer with her grandparents, and she ran into a couple people she went to school with who didn't really talk to her. She dabbled in the drugs, and then she's like, okay, I'm ready to go back home. Who walks in? Her crush. And she's just scared he's gonna find out what she's been doing since she got back. All this nonsense, pretty much. I like, this book is fine. Obviously I'm reading it, but currently 3 stars. Read this book because we aware of things that are happening and possible signs, if anything, but I fear this is not going to be a high-ranking book for me. But I do remember having a big impact on my life because I have never done hard drugs because I'm scared of them, I guess. But we're going to continue reading. I just wanted to share my thoughts now that I'm maybe 4% into the book. Why did I forget that her and her friend Chris walk into their boyfriend's apartments and find them hooking up with each other? Why did I forget that? Granted, it's been probably over 15 years since I read this book. Oh my god. Not 15 years. Maybe like 12. That's insane. That's insane. Happy Sunday. It is 2 p.m. on Sunday. We finished Go Ask Alice last night. 3 stars. Let's talk about her. I did end up giving Go Ask Alice 3 stars. I liked the raw confessional style. However, it was just not as compelling as it was when I was younger and I read it for the first time, which is okay. I believe the format of this book is still effective in conveying the narrator, describing the mental state, except obviously for the end, because all of a sudden the journal just stops out of nowhere on a good note. But it happens. Obviously, addiction is a very big problem in today's country, and we don't really understand it, so it could be that this is an unreliable narrator and when things were great, they were bad. 3 stars because I do think it's important for people to read, but I don't think you need to reread it for any purposes whatsoever. But that's just my opinion. Woohoo! And that'll bring us to the last book in today's video, Looking for Alaska by John Green. I think this is also going to be just killer. It's really just going to stab me in the heart, but it's okay. 121 pages. I think since this color palette is already out, even though I do have my more dark and moodier one, I'm just going to stick with using these just because the colors are so bright. I don't know what other book I'd read them for unless it was like a summertime book. So we are going to read this book. When did I read her? This book is like 20 years old now, and I'm 27. Ugh. I think I read this when I was in the 6th grade. I don't really remember much about this book besides Miles knows famous last words, and then our female main character, Alaska, obviously, is just kind of like go with the flow, have fun, who cares, very like mystical to the human eye that likes to get things done by organization, I assume. I don't know what I would rate this last time I read it, so I don't know what I'm gonna base it off of because I really have no recollection of anything that goes on in this book besides Miles knowing people's last words. But hey, it's okay. We are going to get this started and we're gonna have a great time doing it. We've gotten somewhat in the book. Okay, I'm sorry to not take you guys along with me, but we did finish Looking for Alaska. It is a very gloomy, very rainy Sunday, so obviously it was just put my nose in a book and not think about it. I do have a couple quotes I do want to share with you. I did annotate anytime Miles' talent was portrayed, as in like any of like the famous last words, because I think it's cool. Obviously I Go to Seek a Great Perhaps was such a big one. I remember wanting to get a tattoo of that when I was younger. He was talking with Alaska about getting busted and having to go to the jury, and sometimes you lose a battle but mischief always wins the war. I was a drizzle and she was a hurricane was also really good because I liked the way they described Alaska. There's so many last words, but I'll never know hers. Obviously I completely forgot about everything that happened in this book because for some reason it eluded me that she died. Was not part of my core memories. Did give Looking for Alaska 3.75. I really liked that. It was a trip down memory lane, and it held up better in what I was expecting it to, because like for the little bit I was like, oh, do I really want to read? But I suffered through, not suffered, I stayed strong and I continued reading. I still liked about the conversations about exploring grief and searching for your meaning in life. Once again, John Green can write anything. Someone stop this man from writing because he causes so much heartbreak. I was a little bit over Alaska's manic pixie dream girl type of vibe she was giving. At times it was just exhausting. I think it's just because I've grown up. Obviously when I read it when I was younger, I was like, she's so cool. She's so different. She's misunderstood. Now I'm like, bitch, shut up. No one cares. Stop being mean for no reason. I do believe the ending of this book is still so powerful and still packs a punch. That's why I did give it 3.75 stars. I enjoyed it, and we did it. We read it. Okay, so rereading these has reminded me just how much they did shape me at such a young age from growing up. Even if they made me cry a lot, each one of these books tackles something so heavy that they're still relevant in today's society just because we are in such a heavy world still. There's moments of raw honesty and even hope sometimes, that hoping things will get better, hoping things pan out the way you want them to. So yeah, I love this little trip down memory lane. I'm so glad you guys came along this journey for me. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any video requests, make sure you leave them down below. And if you want to stick around, I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.